Back now with the Boys and Girls Club of the Fox Valley, talking about youth mental health. How important is it for kids to have that connection with other kids? Carla?
It's the ultimate, most important thing.
Yep.
The data research tells us time and time again that the most protective thing is the relationship of a strong, caring, and connected adult and a young person. To mitigate against the factors of any sort of those risks that happen and preventing any of those sort of risky behaviors that exist out there, that caring, connected adult relationship.
That had to be a little bit tough during COVID, though. There wasn't that connection. Did you see the result of that? Could you see the effects of that?
We're still seeing the
You
effects
are,
of that.
still.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Even
that's
though
what
we think COVID is over.
Well, yeah, which is truly not, but
Yeah.
yes, we're in a different place, right? And we talk about this being post-pandemic, which I think in many respects it is. But the ripple effect is significant. And I professionally and personally believe that this is a generational lifetime experience that will always be a part, always have an influence in the lives of the young people who were, especially those that were at really critical developmental stages when all of a sudden they couldn't go to school anymore. And when they were isolated for all good reasons, right? But they were isolated from their peers and they were isolated from other adults who could have had opportunities to care and be concerned and to support and encourage and all of the things that kids need in order to grow and thrive. So the challenge, of course, or the reality, of course, is their brains didn't stop developing during all of that period. It's just they didn't have all of the nourishment. They didn't have all of the connections and the relationships that would have helped foster really positive social skills. And so we're seeing that play out to be really specific. We've had roughly, one of the things we track in our Boys and Girls Clubs are behavioral referrals. So in other words, when a young person is not behaving in a positive way, and we maybe need to ramp up and get to a conversation with a caregiver, or we might have some other discipline that we need to be talking about because of their behavior. The number of behavioral referrals that we've experienced in our clubs has gone up roughly 5-fold since before the pandemic.
Is there a difference from a mental health standpoint, Carlin? Rich kid, poor kid, impoverished homes versus homes that are doing okay, or are just kids, and they're all facing the same mental health issues now?
Both.
Both, yeah.
It has to do with access to resources and sometimes the presence of adults in the home during the time that the children are in the home, right? So if we're working a job on second, third shift, and then that's creating just missing each other, parent and child passing in the night, that can be a challenge then to have those really important connection opportunities with those caring adults. It's more not about someone having access to means or not, and it's more about that living in poverty is a type of trauma. And what we just know and understand about the effects that can bring to someone, it doesn't necessarily mean someone who has experienced trauma, and poverty is an example of that, will have negative effects, but that it really increases the risks and has that young person behaving in ways that serve them, that comes from a place of survival and sometimes doesn't make a lot of sense to adults under typical circumstances, but make a lot of sense to a young person who is trying to survive when they're really working on those basic life skills, such as being safe in their home, being safe in relationships, having food, and having a safe place to be.
Yeah, Greg, it sounds like the Boys and Girls Club is almost an insurance policy for society. It prevents problems up the road.
That's a really good way to say it. We are an organization that can help give kids the kinds of experiences and the environment that they need that feeds their growth and development in really positive ways. Simply being in a safe place, being in a space where there are caring adults who know your name, understand your talents and your abilities and encourage you at the right moments, support you and comfort you in the tough moments. Those kinds of things are really critical for all young people to have as part of their growth and development. Unfortunately, not all kids have that in an equitable way. Not all kids have access to all of the opportunities that others do. And part of our role then is, yes, to be preventative, but to also be a bridge to opportunity that might not otherwise exist if our community wasn't providing the kind of support that they do through our work and our efforts.
We are back to wrap up with more after this. Stay with us.